topic was FIMM integration. So FIMM integration is a we called as a automatic account determination. Okay, automatic account determination. What is that? Automatic account determination. So how we are connected with FI, how we are connected with FI team, how we are informing our regular transactions like goods shipped, stock movements, all this information. If it is valuated stock, okay, make sure that this information you need to inform to the financial team so that they will be using that information and they will be furtherly going with that payments, okay, receipts, okay, account payables and account receivables, they will be validating based on the account automatic account determination. Okay, so basically automatic account determination is nothing but like when you process any stock valuated stock postings, okay, that information will be captured in the form of GL account, debit and credit. Okay, so based on that information, the financial team, they will be validating their profit and loss accounts and their general ledger accounts values, they will be validated. So if you remember that when we talking about a goods receipt or goods issue or any process, we just talking about that the GL account is mapped, OBYC mapped, right? So if you see that we got some errors like transaction event case which is not mapped with valuation class and valuation area, these combinations and all we are getting, right? So the major that is the OBYC is the major connect with the FI and MM integration. Okay, how it works like how it works. So for this okay, uh, going for going with that how it works. Okay, the parameters are chart of account. Okay, the parameters are validating chart of account and transaction event key. Okay, and account modifier, okay, and valuation modifier, account modifier and valuation modifier, okay, and valuation class. Okay, so these are the parameters, these combinations. Okay, it will not come all these combinations at a time. Some cases it will come all the combinations, some cases it will come only 2 to 3 combinations. Depends on the process what you are doing. Based on the process, system will be checking the combination whether you maintain the general ledger account or not. That posting will be debit or credit, that mapping will be done. Okay, so if you observe that this chart of account, okay, this chart of account having that set of general ledger accounts defined, okay, at company code level, at company code level. So this is the financial team, they will define when they creating the company code, they will be creating the chart of account. That chart of account having the set of general ledger accounts. Okay, list of the set of general ledger accounts. Okay, so basically the chart of account is connected to company code. Okay, this general ledger account is connected to company code. But if you remember, if you see that when you try to post any stock movement, okay, any stock movement like GR or GI or transfer posting or STO, stock transfer, anything which is like. So what usually we have the information, we have the information of material, right? We have the information of material, we have the information of plant, right? We have this information, we have the information of movement type, what movement type you are processing, right? Okay, so if I see that this plant is the valuation area, right? Is that correct or not? Why? Because valuation area can be company code or plant, but we are always defining as per SAP suggested that we are going with plant. Plant has a valuation area. Why it is? Because we already discussed that the valuation area at plant level, because multiple distribution centers are multiple branches having that their own cost of living, own labor cost, own all these things. Okay, if you are going with company code is defined at one area, like Delhi it is defined, or it is some area it is defined, but branches are in the multiple locations, they have the different cost of that. So it is obviously good if you go with valuation area as a plant, so that every valuation will be happening at a plant level. Okay, so this is the having value plant is a valuation area, assigned the valuation area. So that plant information which is I have, and this plant already assigned to the company code. Are you agreed? That, so in plant, that plant is assigned to company code. One company code it is assigned. Okay, so that means uh, from this company code I can go indirectly. If I go with this company code already having the chart of account which is assigned. So that means this chart of account how you are getting, it is indirectly getting from the company code, but the base is plant. That means valuation area. Okay, clear? So now transaction event key. So this transaction event key we'll talk about that. Come to the valuation class. Valuation class I have already company code that, sorry, I have already plant. That plant information from the plant we are connected to company code connected to chart of account. That chart of account is the which is defined in the company code level. Okay, now material if you see that, if you talking about that material have the material type. Okay, this material type is, if you see that controls, material type controls. Okay, material type can be defined valuation classes, multiple valuation classes. If you see that depends on the material type, the valuation class will be changed. Okay, if you remember that when we discussing about the material type controls, valuation class also one of the key control, right? Depends on the material type. If it is raw material, it is starting with 3000. If it is a semi-finished good 7920, 7900. Okay, like which is we are defined valuation classes, right? So the material, from the material I can find the material type. What is the material type? This material type is connected to valuation class, but this valuation class is not directly connected to material type. We have the valuation category reference. Valuation category reference. This is the middle point. Okay, middle point when you are defining the valuation classes. Okay, you are not directly connecting this valuation class to material type. Instead of you are connecting directly to this one, first you are creating one reference, valuation category reference. That valuation category reference having the multiple valuation classes. Why? Because one material type might be having the n number of valuation classes. Okay, so I cannot define directly one material type with multiple valuation class. With help of the valuation category reference, first I will be assigning material type to one valuation category reference as a part of the OMS2 configuration, or in the configuration of account determination. Okay, then this valuation category reference having the multiple valuation classes. It may be one or it may be multiple valuation classes. Okay, so that multiple valuations classes which is connected from the material. Okay, it's clear. Now coming to movement type. Okay, so now movement type we have, the key point is movement type is there. So this transaction event key is defined. Okay, it is defined transaction event key is based on these movement types. Okay, so so there are set of the configuration. Okay, if it is a consumption, if it is a consumption related. Okay, so obviously you need consumption posting is needed. What is the meaning of consumption? Consumption is nothing but like instead of you are keeping the stock in the inventory, you are directly consuming that product. Consumption. Okay, direct consumptions. Okay, so if there is a consumption posting is there, you will get account modifier. Okay, if it is a, if you have the consumption posting is there, then you will get account modifier additionally. Okay, if it is not consumption, if it is stock inventory account or it is something which is like, then you will be having the transaction event key. Okay, okay, so this consumption posting also you are doing with movement type only, right? with moment only you are doing, right? So you will also having the transaction event key here, event key here, and also under transaction event key you will get account modifier. But it is a offsetting entry or consumption entry, which is like, okay, offset. When it is offsetting entry, then only you will get this account modifier. Okay, clear? Okay, if this is normal movement and there is no consumption posting and all, stock movement and all, that you will get only transaction event key. So what are the transaction event keys we have? If you remember that we are talking about BSX, okay, GBB, PRD, WRX, right? So AUM, like we have so many, right? So many other movement types are there. FR1, FR2, FRL, FRL, all these things are there, right? Correct. So these are the transaction event keys. Again, if you remember that under GBB we have the account modifiers. I said that when it is offsetting entry, like some consumption which is happened, offsetting entry, you will get additional account modifiers under each GBP. Okay, it might be VBO or it may be VBR. Okay, some kind of other GBP account modifiers will come, like subcontracting process, where consuming the raw materials components. That components will consumption, that again that will come with the one account modifier. When you posting the 261 with production order or 201 cost center consumption, so everywhere you will get one account modifier. Okay, so this account modifiers and this transaction event keys will get based on the movement type. The main is the movement type. Both cases it is movement type, but additionally it is also validating that, okay, consumption, if there is a consumption entry is there or not there. Okay, quantity update and value update, because if it is value update is there, then only, if it is quantity and value update it is there, then only I can consider that value is updating in the accounting level, right? Because value update is not there, then there is no price information that is not updated. Okay, so value update, if it is value update, and if it is quantity update, and if there is any consumption, and if it is a, okay, moment type, okay, and special stock indicators, any special stock indicators, special stock movement like subcontracting, okay, like consignment, subcontracting, any special stock movements are there, right? We did something, right? Written. So that these combinations, what will do? Its system will be finding the account modifier. Okay, so all these places it is finding the transaction event key and account modifier. Okay, clear? Now valuation modifier. Valuation modifier we called as a valuation grouping code also. Both it is same, valuation modifier or valuation grouping code. So we just defined the start of account and plant valuation area. Okay, all these, if you see that we also talk about the valuation. Okay, we also talk about that this is defined plant valuation area at company code level, right? Company code level and the chart of account which is assigned. Now tell me, in case my case was the client is looking the general ledger account set, general ledger account definition are finding based on the valuation area, based on the valuation area. That means it's not at company code level, it's a plant level. That means, okay, so if there is any stock account is there, stock posting is there, let's say some the stock posting is there. The stock posting, if suppose 1100 plant, might be I need some 210000 general ledger account, and if it is 1200 plant, okay, I need something like 220000. That means usually the general ledger accounts, GL accounts are defined at company code level, but here I want to differentiate the posting as well, each individual valuation area level, that means plant level. Okay, so the same posting inventory if you want to go with 2100, this general ledger account for this plant and this general ledger account for this plant, then you need to use the valuation grouping code. So that means you need to define each valuation area level one. You need to define your own valuation grouping code at a plant level. Okay, so that means valuation area, you need to define the valuation grouping code. Okay, valuation grouping code. So each valuation area have the same valuation grouping code, or multiple valuation areas also say single valuation grouping code. It's anything. If suppose, let's say, what I'm trying to do, I have the plant 1000, I have the plant 1100, I have the plant 1200, I have the plant 1300. Now these two cases, plant this case I need this general ledger account for one single posting, and this case also I need the same general ledger account. Okay, and this case I want to change 22 general ledger account, and this case I need 23 general ledger account. So now all it is in the single company, all it is in the same company code one only. Under this company code, these are the different plants are there. Plant 1000, plant all this plant 1000, plant 1100 and all it is there. Okay, so my client requirement is they want to be differentiated general ledger account. Okay, so then what you need to do, this plant is a valuation area. Okay, so this valuation area level you have to define a valuation grouping code, like suppose something like ABCD. Okay, this ABCD I am assigning here also because it is same general ledger account I want. Okay, and this case I will define something like XYZ1. Okay, here I will define something which is like 1, 2, 3, 4. So while you are assigning the general ledger account with these combinations, you are assigning this valuation grouping code also. That valuation grouping code you are assigning, and you are assigning the general ledger account. So because this is the set, right? To find the general ledger account, okay, this is the combinations. If you go to OBYC, it will ask these all, right? It will ask for first transaction event key, chart of account, then account modifier, valuation class, all these combinations, right? You remember, right? You did so many times the OBYC, right? So all these, it is a factors of different controls. Okay, clear? Is clear, or do you want to repeat again? Yes, okay. Okay, so let's go with first. Let's go with okay. Okay, so now I will go to the part SPRO reference. Before going to that, I will show you OMS2. OMS2, if you remember that, we did so many times OMS2, right? If you remember, right? So many times we did OMS2, right? So if you see here, I will go to some raw materials or something. If you go to here, we have account category difference here. So one-to-one relation. See, I can define under material type one account category difference. So either I can define only one valuation class, or okay, but my requirement is having the multiple valuation classes. Okay, so in that case I can take one reference, this one. Under this reference I can define multiple valuation classes. Okay, clear? Okay. One material type having connected to multiple valuation classes. If I go to MM02, which I have defined any material, okay, and if I go to accounting data, here, okay, here we have valuation class, right? So I have n number of valuation classes here, not only one valuation class. If we don't have account category reference as a mediator, I can define only one valuation class. But my client requirement might be having the multiple valuation classes. Why? Why they need multiple valuation class? Even same material type? I'll tell you. One example. Okay, so material type, I have material type raw material ROH. Okay, ROH is there. Now my client is categorized that in the raw materials we have the solid item and chemicals, okay, and okay, liquid form and pure liquid form, and okay, solid, chemical and liquid, okay, and some kind of dry, okay, maybe it's kind of not solid, loose solid or something dry item, okay. Now they are divided like this one. So now my client is needed when the solid material, if it is a solid material, when we are creating the solid material, I want to use something like a 3100 validation class, okay. And if it is chemicals, all it is the raw materials only we are using, okay. I want to differentiate 3200 validation class, okay. And when it is a liquid, then I need to go with that to 3300 validation class, okay. And if it is dry or balls or something which is like okay, some, so these are the, I want to go with the validation class. Why we need this multiple validation classes? Why should not go with one single validation class? Because based on this validation class I can assign my general ledger account with combinations. So I can go with this one 3100 something GL account, I can go this one, okay, with 320000 something valuation GL account, and this having again I'll go with some GL account 210000, and this having I have go with GL account with 22 something 220000. So this is okay. That means I have only one material type only. I'm creating a material with one material type, but I need my requirement like when I'm using this solid validation class, it should be go with this one, and when I'm just going with chemicals, this validation class, I need this to go. So that tomorrow when financial team, when they are evaluating that how much stock we received, how much stock we consumed at a liquid level and solid level or chemicals level for raw material, they can simply go to GL account and see that how much it is spent for that. If it is clubbed all this one, okay, and we just define only one, like suppose which is I just defined 5000 GL account. If I have only one GL account, it is very difficult to me to evaluate that how much we spend on the solids, how much we spend on chemicals, how much we spend on liquids and all, right? So, one GL account for one valuation class. Which combinations? Again the combinations in the top. These combinations again. When the chart of account is different, it will change. When transaction event keys are changed, it will be changed. When account modifiers or valuation modifiers are changed, it will change. Okay, all these combinations. Okay. I'm just talking about only one example. It might be inventory account. I'm just giving the example like inventory account, like example. Okay. It might be different. Consumption accounts are different. It may be multiple GL accounts again. Okay. But the same process, if we are going with one material type, maybe we can change with a different GL account. Okay. It's clear? Got it right? So for that purpose, we first go with material type is assigned to account category reference. Okay, and this account category reference is assigned to multiple valuation classes. What valuation classes? As per here down example, will be assigning 3100, 3200, 3300, 3400, like we can define. Okay. So even I'm using the material type same raw material, when I'm creating a material type, to create creation of material, I can use either 3100, 3200, 3300, 3400 based on the requirement, the metal master record. Clear? Okay, so this is the what concept of This is one or concept of the why we need to use the valuation category reference mediator. Okay, clear? And you understand that account category reference also, right? Valuation grouping code is different and account category reference is different. Okay, this is the account category reference. Okay, and this is the valuation grouping code. Valuation grouping for what? Multiple valuation areas. Full valuation areas in same company code. It might be they have a different requirement. That's why we are defining valuation grouping code for the number of plans. Different, okay, valuation areas. Clear? And anyway, you know this chart of account, right? This chart of account is the defined at company code level. And valuation class you understand, right? This is the account category reference. This is the account category reference. Correct? And this account modifier transaction event case, both it will come based on the moment. What moment we are doing. Okay? So let's see how it works simply. Okay? So let's go with first SPRO. Okay, SPRO and SAP reference IMG, and go to material management and go to valuation and account assignment. Okay? Then go to here account determination without wizard. Okay, so here first you have to define whether valuation area at valuation grouping code is active or not active. Okay, so what it means after that? Valuation grouping code is active means you can define multiple valuation grouping codes for the each and every valuation area. Okay, that means one valuation area have to one valuation grouping code, and number of company and number of plans are there, and number of valuation grouping codes you can define. Okay, 1 to 1. Clear? So this needs to be activated first. Okay, so you can see this notes also here. You can read here. For account determination, you can group together valuation areas by activating the valuation grouping code. You understand? Simple. If two valuation areas having one valuation grouping code, another valuation area having the different valuation grouping code, or 4-5 valuation areas having the one valuation grouping code. If you want like that, you can define that. Okay, it's clear? Okay, so first this needs to be activated if you want. Then group together valuation areas. This is one which we are discussing about. Valuation area. What is the meaning of valuation area? Valuation area is the plant. Correct. So this plant is assigned already company code in the configuration enterprise structure. Correct. Company code have the plant. Okay. And this company code having the chart of account. Okay. Correct. Clear. Now what is the my company code? APPL, right? What is that? My company code? APPL. Where is that APPL gone? It's same right? APPL, right? It's gone now. Okay, sorry. Okay, this is APP1. Okay, APP1. So now my requirement is I need to define this ABCD here. I can define numeric, I can define, or alphabetic, I can define, anything I can define. Okay, clear? So APP1 having the one valuation grouping code and APP2 having the one valuation grouping code. Okay, clear? If you have a common chart of account, common GL accounts and all, you can define only one valuation grouping code. Okay, same valuation grouping code I can use for some other plans as well, which is defined. Okay, clear? What other valuation, what other plant we defined on that day? VSA, right? VSA something which is there, no? So this, okay, VSCS, I think. VSCS something is there. Okay. So this VSCS, if it is blank, then it won't ask. It is common. So if there is no valuation grouping code, that's also fine. You don't need to be separate for that multiple plans. You can go with a single GL account for across all the plans in the same company code. Okay. So it's kind of that. If you want to define here ABCD, you can define it. No problem. Okay, clear? Okay, it depends on the chart of accounts also. If both should be same chart of accounts, right? Okay, both should be same chart of accounts. Okay, clear? Hmm. Okay, clear? So now this is the valuation grouping code. You understand, right? I have two plans. I am using different valuation grouping code because I want to be differentiate the GL account. Okay? Okay. So just giving the example. Okay? Clear? So this valuation grouping code again, where the factors where exactly when the valuation area level it is impacted, there only it will be validated. Okay? No, this is valuation grouping code only. The step 2, which we are talking about valuation grouping code, right? This valuation modifier. This valuation modifier. This step we are doing now. This is one step. This is one step. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Uh-huh. Huh. It is just like text only. The control will be there in the OBYC only. Okay, here you can enter anything. Okay, you just give ABCD 1 2 3 30. Okay, something which you can give that. No problem. Okay, it's just like text only. There is no controls. It is not needed to define. Okay, okay. So this is the one. So what we already here validated here. One is chart of account is validation is completed. The second one validation grouping code also validated, right? So there are this step which talking about, right? So company code, chart of account, plant, and it is there, right? This step is completed. This step is completed one, okay, and the second step is this one, okay. That means 1 and 4 is completed. 1 and 4 is completed. Clear? Now we'll go for validation class. Huh? We'll go for validation class. So now let's go to the next one, validation class definition. Okay. First you have to define your own validation account category reference. Okay, you can define your own. Suppose I did APPL or something which you are defining. Okay, APP something which you are defining. So I'm just defining for raw material raw material type in APPL plant or APPL company code. Same thing which I am defining for APP1, which is for FERT finished goods material type APPL. I just defining my own material valuation account category reference like. Okay, clear? So say, okay, say. Now this account category reference you need to assign the your valuation class. You need to define valuation classes. So I'll go to first I'll define APP1. Okay, APP that I'll just define where I can define APP that's for raw material or wage, some bolts or screws. Okay, bolts and screws and all we can define here. Bolt. Okay, okay, bolts kind of thing. Okay, now I'll go for again APP2, which is I'm defining one valuation class which is for same as that APP, and this one ROH again some chemicals. Okay, APP2, APP3 I'm defining ZAPP, then ROH some kind of solid movable, something which I am defining as per my requirement. Okay, okay. So same thing, if FERT I will just define that APPL, and one I'm just defining that AP1, that is FERT. Okay, it's clear. Only one I define here for FERT, but for raw materials I have defined multiple valuation classes. Okay, now these valuation classes we need to map to our material type. Okay, so go back and here you have to assign the or material type to account category reference. Okay, before you go into this one, you can go to OMS to define your own. Okay, you have to go back here. I'll go back here because it is changed. Okay, so now I'll go OMS to, I'll just defining my own raw material type. Okay, so raw material type which I am copying from the existing one and creating that. Do you remember that what material type we are using earlier? Do you remember that what we defined here? I'll go. We'll go for MM03 for FG material we have created, right? Can go with here. I can see the material type here. So if you want to go here, basic data one, you can go to information here. In this information we have the material type ZSPF. Okay. Okay, this is how I have created earlier. So I just want to use that ZSPF. Okay, ZSPF. Okay, and I'll just copy this one, create some FBF, something FBF, something which I'm creating. Okay, FG product. Okay, I'm just copying that. Okay, I have created my own material type ZFBF. Okay, so for identification, for testing purpose, I'll just put my APPL, FG product APPL. Okay, clear? And I also create now raw material also RBF. Okay, RBF, ROH products, ROH APPL. Okay, I'll just create that, and here this is ROH only. Okay, and this is also ROH. The screen reference and all we can use for this purpose. Okay. Okay, clear? Now I'll go here itself RBF, and I can see it is assigned to 999. So I'm just assigning here. Let's assign our APP. ZAPP is the FG or raw material. Okay, ZAPP. Just assigning the ZAPP account category reference, and I'll go for ZFPF. I'll go for here. My account category reference is. I have ZAP1. Okay, ZAP1. So now here also you can assign, or you can go to here also where I have shown, right? Here, if you go here also you can assign here. Okay, so I just need to close the material type. Okay. Okay, so now I'll go here and I'll click on here again. Okay, I'll just somewhere it is open already, material type, so I'll to close that. Okay, now I'll go here and define validation classes. Here, if you go to here, you can also change here also. If you go to my material type, what is that? FBF, right? FBF. So it is changed already. It is already changed because we changed there. It is already updated here. Okay, and if we go to ZRBF, okay, it is there in the ZABP. Okay, so you can do here also, or you can update there also. Okay, so now tell me ZABP having how many validation classes? ZABP having. Sorry. Okay. So ZAP1, right? ZAP1 something. Okay, you can go like this one, table view, print, and you can filter here. So you have account category reference, ZAPP ZAPP having the 3 validation classes. Okay, and if you go to ZAPP having only one, ZAPP one. What is ZAP1? Then it is only one which we defined, right? Only one which we defined. Okay. If you want, you can define one more also for semi-finished goods which we have, right? That also you can define. Okay. Okay. So now, if I am using this material type, what material type if I am using? ZFBF if I am using, then make sure that that is connected to ZAP1. ZAP1 having the ZAP1 validation class, right? What validation classes are defined? If I go with ZRBF, this ZRBF is connected to this account category reference. This account category reference is connected to 3 or 4 validation classes are there. APP1, APP2, APP3, something which I created, right? Clear? Okay. So this is the setup for validation class. Okay. Now you can go with MM01. If you want to recheck that ZRP. Okay, so I will go for ZRP here. Okay, I'll just define ZRBF here, and I'll create any of material type. Okay, something which I'm defining here. Okay, I'll go for okay, this is already defined somewhere. Okay, I'll just define. Okay, so the number ranges needs to be defined. How it is defined, we don't know. So this internal number range we need to check what it is defined actually. MMNR is for number range, what it is defined for our type. So what is our material type here? ZRBF, right? ZRBF. Okay, so ZRBF is defined the number range which is FG0001 like that. Okay, it is external number range which is defined. Okay. Okay, so let's see. 101. I'm just creating FG00 some kind of 2. Okay, and I'm just going to accounting data here directly. Okay, and you can see here validation classes. Okay, so make sure that this material type is what is the material type here? Okay, so you can see here validation classes. You can see what we define APP1, APP2, APP3. That only we are getting here. It's clear? Clear? So this is the connectivity. Confirm. You understand, right? How it is coming, the validation classes. Because this APP, why it is coming APP1, APP2, APP1? Because this material type, what is the material type here? GRBF. This GRBF is connected, the material type is connected to here the GAPP, that GAPP having the multiple validation classes. Clear? So that's why it is coming. Okay, this is the point. So now this point also is completed. What point it is? This point also is completed, validation class, and this validation grouping code also is completed. Correct? And if you can see here, this is also completed. Okay, 1, 4, 5 is points are completed. Clear? These 3 are clear, right? Now transaction event ke account modifier, how it will come. Okay, so as of now, if you see that we're talking about material, we're talking about plant, okay, all these things, but we didn't talk about the movement type. So now it's a picture of the movement type. So the standard we already have defined the moment types, account grouping for moment types. The standard SAP already defined. So here how it will works when you go with the factors you see, moment type and valuation update, value update and quantity update. Value update and quantity update, how you will get? In a material type, if you remember that when you creating the material type OMX2, okay. So I go to OMS2, the material type, there will be a valuation update and quantity update checkboxes are there. Did you remember that? ZFBF, if I go to ZBFBF, you have quantity and value update. Okay, if your valuation area level, your quantity update and value update is done. If it is quantity update, then it is stock will be updated. If it is value update, then it will be updated the accountings, the price information all updated. Price GL accounts will be updated. So that tick mark is important. Okay, so system will validate that also when you processing with the moment type. Okay, clear? Okay, so now valuation update is X, quantity update is X. That means both are valid. Let's assume that. Then special stock indicators. If you have a vendor consignment, subcontracting, pipeline, there are multiple processes are there, right? So when you talking about the process special stock indicators, uh, based on the special stock indicators, system will be thinking about that what postings can be done with that moment indicator. Okay, clear? So 101 and X and X and special stock, if it is a normal process, then you can leave it blank. If it is something like consignment or it is subcontracting or some sales order related or something, that you have to put. Then movement indicator. So this movement indicator will be okay, uh, whether with reference to purchase order, with reference to production order, with reference to process order, like okay. So that moment it will be what reference it is like that you can use here. Okay. Then consumption. The consumption I said right. If it is that posting direct consumption or some consumption related, instead of putting into the stock inventory, you are using directly consumption. That consumption will be entered. So all these entries. Okay. If you see here, okay, I can show here. If I go here, you can see here there are multiple like we have that customer consignment and pipeline, project stock, stock in transit, subcontracting, okay, subcontracting process, pipeline, all these processes are there. So these are the special indicators. If I go to moment is sales order or purchase order, production order, delivery order, the references how you are doing. And if I go to consumption, the consumption will be whether you're posting directly consumption, asset posting, sales order consumption, project consumption, like that. Okay. So all these combination, SAP already defined some standard valuation strings. Okay. So if I go with 101, X, X, and special stock indicator normal, and the moment indicator is the purchase order, no consumption. If I go that combination, it is defined WE01. Okay, if I go in the double click on that or details, the system is defined some standard transaction event keys. There are some possibilities of the transaction event keys when you are using this process like 101 with the value update and quantity update, material and moment indicator with reference to purchase order, no special stock, no consumption, and that is defined with this valuation transaction event keys. So transaction event keys. Okay, so it depends on the process. If you remember that we did GR with purchase order, goods receipt with reference to purchase order. If you remember that we'll get a BSX stock inventory account, WRX GRIR clearing account, price difference account. If there is any standard and moving average difference is there, that standard price account will come. If any exchange difference, that means currencies are different and it will come. Like multiple. So there is a possibilities of transaction event key based on your process. Okay, clear? Okay, so now if I go with 201 and x and moment indicator, no moment indicator, and consumption. Okay, consumption with VV. What is the meaning of that? 201. 201 is the cost center, value update material, quantity update material, and consumption posting, direct consumption posting. If I go with this one, okay, the combination system is updating like there is a definition of GBP. There is a possibility of this combination, there is a possibility of GBP that is connected to PBR, transaction event key. That means if you are using this process like by using moment type 201, value update, quantity update, and there is a moment indicator, okay, and so in that case there is a possibility of getting the GBP offsetting entry with a transaction event key. Sorry, that with a account modifier. Okay, that means account modifier will get only when there is a offsetting entry is there. In that case only we will get the account modifier. Okay, not all the cases. Okay, tell me other case. I will go with 543 more. 543. Okay, value update and quantity update. Special stock indicator is subcontracting. Okay, moment type indicator purchase order. Okay. Okay, so then enter. Okay, so if I go to this one 543 O, okay, sorry, 543 O, if I go to this 543 O consumption entry posting, okay, so it is telling that there is a possibility of getting the GBP with VBR. Okay, okay, so what is the 543 O? What is the 543 O? O means what special stock indicator O means subcontracting, no? We are talking about subcontracting process 543 O, 545 O. Did you remember? Okay, so that means it is consumption, right? The raw materials are consuming. Okay, so that's why we are getting this one. Clear? That is a post of the consumption. So when there is a consumption posting, obviously you can expect that account modifier. Is clear? So in that case, you have to define your account modifier, standard modifier. Okay, standard account modifier. So process to process it will change. If it is subcontracting, you will get VBR. Okay, some other process like if suppose I am going to scrapping. Okay, if I go to scrapping will come into VNG because that is also consumption, right? We are not putting into our inventory account, right? What else we have? You have what else the process you have for consumption? 261. If you go to 261 production order, that also you have that consumption. Okay, it's clear. So when there is a consumption entry by there is a offsetting entry will become that offsetting entry we are having the account modifier. Clear? Clear now? Now all these combinations, if I go with /O OBYC, if I go with /O OBYC, okay, the system, if I go with BSX inventory account, then first it will ask transaction event key and it will be asked the chart of account, okay, then it will ask a valuation modifier and valuation class and account, GL account. Because in a stock inventory account, we don't need to think about that the consumption, right? So that's why it is only validating the valuation modifier and valuation class. Okay, clear? And chart of account and transaction inventory. If I go with GBP, this is offsetting entry. If I go with the offsetting entry, it is thinking about the valuation modifier, general modifier, valuation class, and chart of account, transactionality, all these combinations. So process to process it will change. If I go to WRX, okay, WRX nothing will be there, right? WRX is only for a payment to the clearing, right? Then it won't be impact anything. It will directly hit that. Okay. So it is not necessary every time you will get all these 5 combinations. It will get based on the situation and posting. It will get it will ask about it. Okay. So you mean now what you need to do? You have to configure, if you planning to do configuration BSX or GBB or something for your materials. What you need to do? First you have to go BSX and go to change. Okay. Why it was not changed? Not change means it's somewhere it is open. Okay, this is open. I'll close this one. I'll do better clarity. I'll just close all the transactions, all the screens. Okay, so now if I go to OBYC, okay, if you go to display data is blocked, SAP HANA 185, somebody is doing that. Okay, it's okay. So if I go to BSX, okay, if I go to enter the chart of account, if you are not defined for your valuation class, what is your valuation class? What is your valuation class? APP1 or APP2 or APP3 or APPL? These are the valuation class we are defined, right? If you are not mapped the GL account with that valuation class or your valuation modifiers, okay, with your combinations, then system will give error, the account determination error value when you posting the stock movements. So if you remember that every time you are getting some account determination error, right? So because that configuration is not defined as per your valuation class or as per your valuation modifier or as per your account modifiers, all this combination you did not define a GL account. That's why it is coming. Is it clear? So if you create one material quickly and do with okay, I'll just go with FG02, okay, and I'll just only create what it is needed for us, accounting data, purchasing data, basic data and all. Okay, then organization levels, IPP1 of G. Okay, then I'll just put that all quickly. So I'm not maintaining anything. I'm just what we need to post the entry. So now in this case it will get only this APP1, APP2, APP3. Okay, and you can define your price also. Okay, now FTG2 is created. Okay, this material is created. Now what I can do, I'll go to ME21N. Okay, create purchase order with all this information what I have. Okay, which I am using my material, own new material, which I have defined. Okay, so I'm just creating this one. So now purchase order created with new material. Okay, this is my material, new material which I created. Okay, clear? Now I'll just doing the GR. My GO, I'm just doing the GR with my new material. Since I'm not done anything configuration, right? Okay, so I'm not done anything. I'm not done any account determination setup for my GL account setup for this combination, for this material type combination, for this valuation class combination. So now I'm just click on check. Okay, now I'll be trying to post. Now see, you are getting the problem because this valuation class is ABCD, APP1. ABCD is Why we are got ABCD? Why you got ABCD? Because valuation grouping code we have defined ABCD for this plant. Which plant? APP1. APP1, right? If I go with APP2, let's go to APP2. Same material I am extending to APP2. Okay? Clear what I am trying to do? Okay, so I have to change the plant. Okay. Okay, so I'll go to APP2 now. Okay, I'm not changing anything. I'll just put same thing all. Okay, so this material now I'm creating that. Okay, so now this vendor is defined for this or not, I'm not sure, but okay, I'm not sure for this APP2. Do we have any purchase organization APP2 having any vendor? APP2 don't have any vendor setting. Okay, I have one vendor. What is the vendor name? 9000. Okay, good. 9000 is also it's created for APP2. Okay, so I'll go to 9000. Now what I'm trying to do? What I'm trying to do? What I'm trying to do now? I have created the same material with different two plants. I'm creating two purchase orders. One purchase order from the APP1, the other purchase order from APP2. Okay, clear? So this is a 23946. Okay, okay. Now I'll go to 23946. 23946. So what will be happen? What is the difference between these two? The earlier one, the purchase order, this purchase order, what is the difference? Here APP2 plant, and if I go with the previous one, it is APP1 plant. Same material, there is no change of material. Okay, but only plant difference. It's clear? This is APP1 plant and this is the APP2 plant. Now try to do both. Check. I'm doing check here. I also doing here check. Okay. Now I'm trying to do post here. I'm getting error this one. And if I go here, I'm getting here error. Both cases I'm getting INT PSX ABCD. Okay. And I'm getting INT BSX XYZ. Why coming XYZ? Why it's coming here ABCD? Why it is coming ABCD here? Why it is coming here XYZ? Sorry. Because why it is coming? Because we defined the valuation grouping code with a different plant level. Have you remember that? Did you remember that we defined valuation grouping code? So material management, in the inventory, sorry, not inventory, valuation account determination here, and if you go to wizard and you group together valuation class here, if I go here, my APP1 have ABCD, APP2 have the XYZ. So same company code, different plants having a different valuation grouping code. So I can define now this combination. I can define differential account, and this combination I can define differential account. Okay. Now if I remove this one, what will be happen? So if I remove this one, the system won't consider that any valuation grouping code. So I can assign only single GL account for both plans. I'll go back again. Okay, I'll just planning to do now here. Okay, click on check item. Okay, and here also I will try to do same MIGO and okay, click on check. Okay, click on check. Is already processing now. My already processing now. Okay, need to close that. Okay. I'll just need to close this one. Okay. Okay. Now I'll go here. 95. Okay. So now click on check. So if you go both cases, this is not displaying here ABCD or XYZ. If I go here, ABCD or XYZ not defining. You can here also it's same. And here also, if I go to post here, even here there is no, it is not displaying. That means I can only define this combination one GL account only. You cannot differentiate two different because all these combinations are same. So I can define only one GL account for this inventory account, either in the APP1 or APP2 or APP3. Everywhere I can define only one GL account, common GL account, not for multiple GL account. If you want to different GL account, then you have to define that valuation grouping code. Okay. So this is the way it will work. The valuation grouping code, account category reference, transaction event keys. Okay. All these things it will work. It's clear? Okay. So this is the automatic account determination process. Any questions? So this is also called as a FI MM integration. FI and MM integration. Okay. And the third party STO, that process are STMM integration. Okay. And if you remember that quality inspection we did, usage decision and all, that is quality MM integration. It's clear? Okay then now every time when you are doing the posting, system will check that you have assigned a GL account. If it is not assigned, you have to go here and assign your GL account. That is a mapping. Okay, so that general ledger accounts, finance team they will provide that what general ledger account they have to validate. Okay, that general ledger account you can post. For consumptions, different general ledger accounts. For inventory, general ledger account different. Products price difference, different general ledger accounts. Okay, offsetting entries, different general ledger accounts. Like they are defined in the, they are defining in the here. If you can see that there are multiple general ledger accounts are there. Okay, so in this company code they are defined this much of general ledger accounts, this much of general ledger account. So what it is suitable to you, you have to assign that. Okay, clear? It might be loans, clearing accounts, or it may be the administrative, or it may be inventory account, or it may be consumption, or it may be okay profit and loss accounts, anything, fixed assets, bonds, anything. Okay. So this is FIMM integration. Any questions?